Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Anime Summit Podcast, your favorite podcast of all time, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what else you listen to. Probably other podcasts that aren't as good. Anyway, it's your favorite ho for show, Sam, the mom.
Ooh, I like that. Ho for show. That's great.
And, of course, your favorite memologist, Nick.
Nick
the Brick House.
Nick the Brick. I got a brick for
No,
a
that's
heart,
your
man.
mafia name.
No tier,
That's
Nick.
your mafia name. Hey, was
Nick the
it
Brick?
Jimmy the Hat? No, it was Nick the Brick.
His calling card is a brick.
You just toss a brick at people. Someone pulls out a gun, you pull out a brick, and you just
That's all I do.
just wreck shop.
I'm like the wet bandits. From,
Yeah, the wet-
Home Alone. Or the sticky bandits.
We gotta leave her a calling
covered in
card.
chains.
He's like, dude, just fucking stop that. He's like, no.
Leave their faucets on.
Yeah, leave the faucets. The wet bandits. Fucking Nick the Brick, okay? Listen. Today's episode, we're gonna be talking about Kino's journey because hype city.
The new show is coming out. Remake is already.
See, at first I thought it was
ongoing right
a
now.
sequel, but it's a remake.
It's a little bit of both. It's kind of like
They're like
Brotherhood.
doing it a little differently,
Alchemist
right?
a little bit.
more.
They're gonna repeat some stories and potentially change some things, but yeah. So I mean, it's if you've seen the first one, it's still worth watching the remake, assuming it's not bad.
So,
Which it should be.
so
fine.
Nick decided it'd be a good idea to review the OG Kino's journey, or Kino no Tabi from 2003.
Studio ACGT. Don't know if they still.
I don't think
do stuff.
they.
You haven't.
I don't think they do, actually.
2003 was like almost 15 years ago. So holy shit, that's crazy.
Well, no, they're doing Dice Irai. Dice
Oh
Irai.
shit!
Yeah.
All right,
There we go.
but I know the new Kino's Journey is not
By yeah,
them.
it's by
who do we got?
shit. I didn't even look at that.
I'm clicking on it
Okay.
right now. It's by a different studio, and they have a bunch of different staff as well. Actually, almost all of the staff are different, except for like the producers.
Okay.
But yeah, the old Kino's Journey is like it's kind of like a cult classic a little bit. It's pretty popular on Mal. It's like number 100, and it's in the top 150 of rank of Mal score and the top 600 on popularity.
Oh, they just
So it's pretty hot.
so
there,
ACGT along with JC Staff just did Minami Kamakura, the bicycle show with the girls.
All right.
The one that it was
Yeah.
like last season or last winter.
There's so many bicycle shows because Japan's all obsessed with that.
My bad.
My favorite one's still Bakuan because it was fucking hilarious. But yeah, so yeah, the new Kino's Journey is by Lurch Studio Lurch.
Okay, there you go.
Or Lurch, however you pronounce it.
Lao.
And
Lao.
yeah, so Kino's Journey Classic. We are reviewing it today in honor of the new series that's coming out, and just felt like the best time to do it. It's a popular show. Might as well do it.
Other people are talking about it, so we're gonna talk about it. And also, it was my first time watching it, and it was Nick's first time watching it as well. So this is kind of fresh off the press, if you know what I'm saying. So
Certified fresh.
certified fresh. It is October 10th, 2017 today, and let's get down to the niche,
To the
to the
news.
niche and the bitchy news anchor, Nick the Stick.
So there's not a lot this week. A couple of quick ones. Twitch TV is going to stream all 236 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm a little hyped for that. I can't wait for all the memes, all the Brooklyn Rages, and the Nyes and stuff like that. Man, Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged is one of my favorite anime of all time, and I know it's not a real anime, but the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Spawned all of that, and it should just be fun. Like, watching anime on Twitch TV has proven to be, one of the best ways
It's
to watch
time
it.
to
It's just great.
duel.
Dude, The memes are going to be crazy. It's going to be going a mile.
My
I can't wait.
favorite Yu-Gi-Oh meme to this day is still, it's a picture of Yami Yugi with a clock, and it's like, oh, would you look at the time? And every number is replaced with the word duel.
Yeah, that one's classic.
Yeah, can't get away from that one. But yeah, dude, that's gonna be.
I actually really like the idea of Yu-Gi-Oh. I just love it.
I used to love playing the game. Maybe I'll stream some Dueling Network for Anime Summit Extra. But I still love the game. It's just a big power creep though, so it's like, and it's expensive. But anyway,
Yeah.
the idea of Yu-Gi-Oh is cool though. Like they went on the island and they had to collect all the stars from the other players and
Island arc, dude.
yeah, dude, the first
That's
arc,
my shit.
and then the Battle City arc after
I love
that, where
Island.
they like had the holographic devices were portable and on their hands and shit. That was cool. And then after
Yeah,
that, it got
it's
weird.
just- There's a lot. Yeah, with Pegasus, that was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, Pegasus, he
And
was
the-
cool. He was like,
What is it, Bandit Keith? Or
yeah,
whatever, the
Bandit
American
Keith,
guy?
the American guy
I'm
who they
American.
portrayed as super
In America.
They portrayed as super douchey, like,
Yeah.
and it was just kind of like,
The only-
okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I've never actually watched all of Yu-Gi-Oh original, or not even that many of it, or that many episodes.
I woke up every Saturday and watched.
Yu-Gi-Oh Abridged is my introduction to the show.
I woke up
That's what I know.
every Saturday and watched it, and freaking. I think we probably stopped watching it when it got after like the Battle City part, which was probably like in the 50s somewhere. I don't know, but it just got too much
Yeah.
after that.
And I know they've done like remakes and stuff of this, and I heard a few of them are actually pretty good. So,
Well, that
anyway,
show
the
itself,
original
that show
Yu-Gi-Oh.
itself is actually a remake because there was an animated series from like the 80s. But anyway, yeah, that's enough Yu-Gi-Oh talk. Sorry, we went on too long for that one.
yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
So the other short piece of news is, and we'll talk a little bit about this more on the next episode of our fall seasonal first impressions. There's a short called Pingu in the City, which topped the Mal ranking charts earlier this week or last
fucking
week.
funny.
And it's a meme because the show is like the name is really funny. So someone just picked it and they're like, "This is getting a 10," and everyone just brigaded the score of the show, gave it. I don't know the max score that it was at one point. It was above a 9. It was at like a 9.4 or something, and now it's sitting at number 17 on Mal.
So basically,
As far as, like, the
you're
best-
saying in true internet fashion, you know, they
It's at an 8.97 right now. I think it peaked around a mid 9, and it was like number 1 on Mal for a hot minute. And yeah, it's just fucking funny. Like, it just goes to show that you can't take Mal's scores and like top rank
Right.
seriously because fucking look
just
at it. Half the
fucking
list is
trolls
Gintama.
like Nick are out there voting for dumb shit.
Half the list is stuff that came out in the last year and a half. It's like, is that all really the top like best shows that everyone needs to see? No, fuck no. So don't trust Mal, don't trust these rankings. Really, just it's best just to like Google it and like find like videos and image albums and threads that give you advice. Don't look at the Mal top list anymore.
Yeah.
I really hope that this kind of inspires them to like fix how the top shows are like put there. Get rid of all the sequels. Like, just chunk Gintama into one score. Put it at whatever number 3. I don't give a fuck. But like, we don't need 5 Gintama entries. It's dumb.
5K,
But anyway,
5 Gintama entry.
I think there's literally 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of
I
them
don't
in
know why
like the
people
top
like
11.
that. I don't know.
How is
show
that a list? That's fucking ridiculous.
It's not even real.
Pingu in the City is better than all of that. Dude, we got to cover that show.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'll definitely watch it.
It's a kid
So
show.
what else you got?
But yeah, so that was the short stuff there. And then the main piece of news is J.J. Abrams was announced to produce the live action version of Your Name, and people are understandably like anxious about this because like you don't need to remake it. It's already a good
it's
movie.
like, yeah, right.
How are you going to do this? In Hollywood, knowing them, they're going to fucking butcher it somehow. Although with J.J. Abrams, like I think he can do a good job. I don't know. As long as they don't fuck up the writing and they cast good actors and they have like a high budget, then I think the movie can be good. But if they like, if they just like go full Ghost in the Shell on it and just water down all the themes and make it shitty, then why?
Yeah, I don't. I just
hope it'll be
never.
good.
I just Hollywood adaptations of anime is just never good. I just don't think they're ever.
Although I think this one can do it because the premise of Your Name is simple enough that even Hollywood would have a hard time fucking it up. Whereas Ghost in the Shell is pretty complicated.
Yeah,
And, even Death Note is kind of complicated. Like
yeah.
to make that into a live action thing, you got to make these. You got to go through all these hoops and stuff. But Your Name is like, it's a pretty wide appeal show. Anybody can understand it. So, really, I think it comes down to like directing and acting.
So don't
But I
fuck
know.
it up, JJ.
I don't know why they need to do this. Like, they should just have.
That's
Like,
the
why
main
is it so
thing.
hard for the-
That's the main thing.
Why is it so hard for the USA to get wide releases in theaters of anime movies? Are they like?
Because
I actually don't know why.
because
they're
they don't
afraid
make
it's
money.
gonna
They
take
want to
over?
be able to make money on it. So J.J. Abrams makes a live adaptation of it, and American Hollywood gets to make money off of Japanese
like,
things.
Disney helped put out a bunch of Ghibli movies.
That's
in-
'cause
in
Disney's-
a lot of
that's
theaters.
'cause Disney's
like, way
smart.
back when and all that. So why the fuck didn't Disney pick up Your Name? Like, it was like the biggest grossing movie last year.
I
pretty
don't
much. This makes no sense.
I
to
don't
me.
know,
Like,
dude. I don't know.
They must
how
have been planning this as it was going on. Because, it was like the biggest anime movie of the past like decade as far as box office.
I don't know how that
There's
stuff
no
works.
reason why we couldn't get a better release. In the
You know,
US.
Nick-
It fucking baffles
Oops,
me.
sorry, hold on. My bad. That's computer noise. You know what, Nick? Not everyone is as smart as you and I. So it's just like,
Oh, yeah.
like
Indeed.
the way people do shit up in Hollywood and the way those fuckers work is just like, what can we make money on?
dude.
And then they just do it. And it's,
This isn't really related to anime, but you heard about all the scandals with the Weinsteins and all that, and like
what? No.
all the sexual assaults are starting to bubble up to the surface.
Oh
now.
my god! Are you fucking kidding me?
Sort of. 'Cause, well, dude, that's just been going on ever since it started. Like,
Well, I mean,
not just
the
in
sexual
Hollywood, but
assault in
everywhere.
Hollywood has always been a problem, but like with the Weinsteins though, like the Weinstein Company.
yeah, he got like kicked out of his own company, but not really, or something. I don't know. It's all
I'm
shady.
gonna Google
stupid
that later.
shit.
But yeah, damn.
I don't know.
fucking-
That's not really anime related.
But no, but Hollywood sucks though. Like, so that's all you need to know. like,
Yeah, I just think of the Family Guy thing where he's like, Walt Disney's drawing the Minnie Mouse, and he's like, "You want to be a star, don't you?" She has to like strip down. That's kind of fucked up to laugh at it, but it's cartoon, so yeah. Anyway, so hopefully Your Name will be good. I've yet to see a good anime adaptation, but they've always adapted like these complicated things. I think Your Name could do it. I think this is like the topic that could do it. Anyway, yeah. So that's it for the news. And what we got? We got Waifu of the Week now, Sam.
Hermes.
Guess who it is? No, it's Kino from Kino's Journey.
Kino,
the
dude.
only. The
Kino.
only
Here's why
female,
Kino
right?
is wife of the week. Number one, because that's what we're talking about. Number two, she's a badass. Number three, her design, I think, is something that speaks a lot of volumes, especially when this came out. Like, it came out in 2003. When they
Yeah, same designer as Princess Principal Kohaku Kuroboshi.
when they designed Kino though, it's very easy in the anime world to design a female character and be like boobs, slender legs,
Yeah,
butts, whatever. And Kino is
Well, she's only 15.
well,
so-
no, that's true.
But I mean, I guess 15 in anime years is like 25.
well, no, I mean there are 15-year-olds
So-
out there who got
but
but I mean, I'm just
I see what you're saying though.
So the thing about I like about her design though a lot is like, it's very easy to make big boobs and whatever when you're making a female character. But when they designed her, I read I don't know if it was an interview or what I read, but like, that they wanted her to kind of be tomboyish and kind of androgynous because her personality and her views on the world were the most important part of the show. And so it's very
well, and that she's also very neutral.
Yeah,
so
she's like
trying to look neutral.
Yeah, she's almost like non-binary in a way, which I appreciate. You know, I think that's super cool. But also she's just a badass. Like she's just straight.
How does the D&D chart work? It's like you have
lawful, good,
or
neutral.
How does the neutral work? It's like lawful, neutral, evil.
Lawful neutral is like
chaotic neutral.
Lawful neutral is like you abide by the law and only the law. And if the law doesn't go your way, you're kind of just like, oh well, that's the way it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like you.
I wonder if that's Kino, or is she chaotic neutral?
I would say she's like chaotic neutral because she's always moving.
Yeah.
And she'll do stuff on she'll make choices based on how she views the world, which is, for example, the Colosseum episode, which we'll get later, but basically Kino's journey is an episodic anime, and just a brief summary. She's just traveling the world with her sentient motorcycle Hermes, the talking motorcycle.
Yeah, the audience insert.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. And she just every episode she goes to like a new country or a new town or whatever, and she stays there for 3 days. And then by the time it's time for her to leave, she has like a thought, or she kind of talks about her experience. Her and Hermes always has this conversation at the end of it. At the end of each episode, like, oh, like blah blah blah, what was your experience? And things start becoming imaginative and thought provoking, and that's the main part of the show, and that's just literally what it is. That's the whole show.
Yeah, it's all about like philosophy, pretty much. The show isn't about Kino's growth or some kind of overarching plot. It's almost a little bit similar to Angel's Egg, except way less abstract, because it doesn't have like the typical structures of like most stories.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of these ideas put on the screen, and the audience is left to contemplate them.
Right. And even though her growth is kind of prevalent throughout the show, it's not the main part. And the anime is done in an episodic style with an emphasis on the atmosphere rather than on action or plot. And even though there is action and there is like a premise or plot in each episode, it's all about how her and Hermes carry themselves, especially her, through each country or each episode and their experience thereafter.
And I will say, as far as atmosphere, some episodes are better than others in that regard, and
I can agree to that.
The soundtrack isn't quite up to like the highest standards. If I want like an atmospheric show, again, Angel's Egg or another example, Aria, the soundtrack in those is very striking, and in Kino's Journey, it has like a good OP and pretty good ending and all that, but a lot of the in episode music is kind of, it's pleasant but a little bit unremarkable. So I wouldn't put that as like the strongest suit. So I would say above everything else, it's about the themes and like philosophy. It's like even above the atmosphere and all that.
Yes, definitely. So I guess you're at this point of the episode you're listening, you're thinking, how are we going to review this? Well, I think
we're not. Goodbye.
Yeah, peace.
Just kidding.
So I mean, it's based off of a book or a series of novels by Keiichi Segasawa. He also did Alice into Lilia. He did the other.
No, he did Sword Art Alternative Gun Gale Online. Mostly, he's just done Kino's Journey as far as
pretty much
original creating.
Yeah, I think he's also on the staff for the new one. I think, right? He's like there in the back, like, hey, do this shit.
It's
Isn't he?
He might be. I don't see it listed on Mal, but then again, Mal is kind of spotty sometimes. So
Sure. But yeah, so it's a light novel that came out. It started coming out in 2000, and it's still going actually. Like they're still writing. There's 20 volumes of this light novel, and I think it's published in English by Tokyo Pop. I think is what it says. But the anime that we're reviewing is in 2003. But I don't really know. I don't really know how else to review this other than to tell you, I guess, how we thought of the show as a whole, and then tell you our like favorite eps, or like I can definitely tell you my favorite eps and my favorite parts of it.
let's do it Kino style. No more than 3 minutes.
No more than
per
3
episode.
minutes.
Otherwise, we'll get attached.
Right? Yeah. Right.
Actually, that would work out perfectly.
Well, I
That'd
wonder
be
if that's.
39
I mean, that's
minutes,
actually an
but-
interesting point, though.
Yeah.
That's almost kind of a big theme of it. Like she can't stay in one place at one time.
because. So the reason she doesn't want to stay in any one's place is because she doesn't want to get attached to the setting or the people too much, and she doesn't want to get complacent and stop. She wants to keep moving. She just has like this inner urge to do that,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that is ever fully explained. It's just what she wants to do. There is one episode that gives her backstory where she's from this. Essentially, her backstory is that she was from this town. I don't know the episode number. Let's see here. Oh, I think it was episode 4, the Land of Adults. And essentially, she grew up in this town where kids at a certain age were sent up to this hospital to become lobotomized, essentially, and to make them only enjoy like working and being an adult, right?
Yeah.
And so this other traveler named Kino, this grown man, comes and talks to her at her family's inn, and he eventually saves her life, because what happens is she questions the system to her father, and it's like super dystopian. Like a lot of these episodes have that dystopian feel where it's like, oh, this world is.
Isn't
fucked up.
that the
They're really
episode
trying
that
to hammer
shows?
this idea through.
Isn't that episode shows where Kino's like younger and stuff, right?
Yeah. Dude, that's my favorite character design. I love the younger design of Kino, like with her hair.
It is really good. Yeah, like
and she's like super cute. Not in a creepy Coco way.
no. She's just like she's like adorable. Yeah.
Although I know Coco just does that as a joke. But yeah, like so basically, yeah, the adult Kino saves her life because her dad and mom, they get like so distraught that she questions the system, and the police come by, and he's like, well, it's your right. It's our right to kill our daughter now.
Yeah.
There's shame on our family. So that he starts running at her with a knife, and the adult Kino just steps in front and blocks it. And Hermes, carries her off out of into the sunset essentially, and then eventually there's another part of the origin story where she goes and finds this older woman who helps train her in the woods. Train how to shoot and do various other skills. So that was so Kino basically escaped this like life that she could have had, where she would have just been doing the same thing every day.
Where she underwent the operation, and yeah,
that probably informs why she doesn't want to stay anywhere, because she doesn't want to get stuck like that.
Right. Kino is so Kino's not even her real name. Kino was the name of the traveler who inspired her to, he was the original owner of Hermes, and then
her original name, but it's not really
I don't think
that
they
important.
even say it, but yeah, it's not really that important, because but it's interesting that you bring up that episode though, because it happens only on episode 4. Like it's pretty quick, you know what I mean? Like it happens only 4 episodes in, and that kind of plays into the theme of like identity, and maybe why she continuously happens to have these convos with Hermes at the end of each episode. Like she, it's like an identity crisis thing. It's almost like Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. Like Cloud wasn't always. If you've ever played Final Fantasy VII, which I don't know if you have, but
dude, I already told you, man. My deepest, darkest secret.
Oh, that's right.
Never played Final Fantasy.
But for those who have, like he takes the position of Zack, and and he has the big sword and whatever. It's almost the same thing. Like, you know, she takes on this persona of Kino, this person who saved her life and inspired her, and but then later as she grows up, continuing to travel, she kind of almost forgets that maybe that was supposed to be her life, and maybe that's how she wants it. You know what I mean? Like, maybe she's better off. In my opinion, I think she'd be better off. Like, that's a fucking shitty thing. Like, when you turn 12, you get lobotomized into...
Wait, you're saying she'd be better off?
No, she's better
off.
Life? She's better off forgetting what her name was and her old life was. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
Like taking someone else's identity and taking his motorrad, or in this case Hermes.
It's kind of like the Avatar, where like the persona of Kino is just transferred from person to person.
Oh yeah,
or maybe that's Hermes. I don't know. That's just my take on it. I don't think.
But no, it's similar
canon,
to what I'm saying. It's very very similar. But like, yeah, like that's totally. I totally agree. I think that's probably one of my favorite parts of the show, though. Like, because
dude, I just love the design of her kid character. So I like it more than her 15-year-old design. Like,
that's because you're a pervert.
It's just so kawaii. No, it's like a cat.
It's like a cat. You just want to pet it.
It's Moe. I just want to protect it.
But so I guess I guess, you know, I don't really know what else to say. What were your favorite? Okay, let's do this. What was your favorite? Like, so you like that episode clearly, which I think is one of my favorites too. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. That was good.
What was?
Should we start with our least favorite, or how do you want to do it?
You know what? My least favorite. Actually, yeah, we should start with our least favorite. I think my least
build up some hype.
I think my least favorite one was the Land of the Wizards. It was kind of boring.
Which one is that?
The one where she goes to the Land of the Wizards, where power is like measured by a person's ability to like make crops.
I'm looking for this and I don't see. Oh, here it is.
And there's this one girl who like doesn't want to do that. She wants to build like a flying machine.
I actually kind of agree, because I think it was a fine episode, but it was too straightforward.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of nice to have the a bit of, lightness in the midst of all the other episodes, where some of them are kind of dark and
right
and nebulous, but like this one was just too basic.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I followed my dreams and I can fly." And I mean, without, like, in some shows that would work, like in Arya, that would work because they just do such a good job of characterizing, and you're following them through all these things and all that. But this is like you're meeting a new character, and she's going through this whole thing in 20 minutes.
Right.
And it's just not well enough produced well enough to carry it. I don't know. It's fine. It's not terrible.
I think the theme of it was kind of cool, right? Because every time she visits one of these cities, there's always some kind of rule or thing. The way they do things is how everyone's supposed to do them. And then she goes into this city, and this one girl doesn't want to do that. She wants to build a flying machine. I thought that was cool. It was just kind of like, it was really basic in its presentation, and it was just kind of boring. I also didn't really like the...
Don't say my favorite, dude. I'm going to get salty.
I'm going to get salty. The one... No, I think it was the one after that, The Land of the Books.
No! No! That was my favorite one.
No, that one was good. I don't know.
I loved the critics, dude.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
Just
the way they talk. They're like, a critic can never be wrong. Oh, it's just like, oh man, I love it. I like the idea of that. Just trusting the whole world to critics.
Number 11 was...
That's like what we are, dude.
Her Journey, Love and Bullets. That one was kind of cool, where she's fishing, and she's kind of like remembering like people she's met. It was a little all over the place. But I definitely can tell you my favorites and why they're my favorites. What other episodes did you not enjoy as much?
Let's see. Huh. I'm just looking at brief summaries now to double check. Maybe the railroad one.
That one was a little boring, but I liked the
And
Twilight.
episode 0.
I like the Twilight
episode 0
Zone.
with the tower as well.
The Twilight Zone feel of the railroad one was kind of cool.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. This whole show has that Twilight Zone feel because each episode is exploring one or maybe two themes.
Yeah, in a very peculiar and weird way. Like just like episode 4, the law is like when you turn 12, you get lobotomized into being a working person. Episode 0 was kind of weird. The OVA that came out 2 years later. It kind of felt like
a Bible parable.
Yeah.
Because they're building this giant tower, and the whole point is that the country, everything is funneled toward the tower, all the resources and jobs, and then eventually the tower crumbles, and you think they'd get all like distraught and mad, and no, they're actually like glad because then they get to rebuild it, and it's their generation who started the tower, and this one guy feels like he's going nuts, and that's like, why do they keep doing this? And then she kind of like Kino kind of convinces him. It's like, wait, are you the crazy one, or is everyone else crazy, or are you crazy?
Right.
Maybe a little bit of both.
It's almost like
and then she recommends that they use like colored bricks or put like engravings and etchings on the bricks, and it's like, I guess,
Yeah, they almost see the tower as like a deity of some sort, like it's
just kind of it's got like that Sisyphus type thing where you're just pushing a boulder up a hill, it's falling down, pushing it up, falling down, and it's just kind of fruitless.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Also, the way the tower collapsed was like it like imploded, but they didn't do a very good job animating that. So I guess I didn't enjoy that episode very much. It was I mean that was like a 5 out of 10 episode for me. Let's see. Actually, I really liked the episode where everyone could hear each other's thoughts.
That's episode 1, isn't it? Isn't that the first one?
I believe so. Yeah. That's episode 1. I like the idea of that because like, there's no way to really implement that realistically without like changing our anatomy somehow.
Right.
And like
there was that one guy whose like wife had left him because they could start hearing each other's thoughts after drinking whatever liquid it made them hear each other's
and
shit.
He's like, oh, I played this song all the time, and I thought she liked it, but she didn't, and I could tell and all that. And it's like, if you could hear everyone's thoughts, that would be that'd be pretty bad because like, one, it'd be like all cluttered, and two, you would know all the negative like intrusive thoughts. And it would be hard to you wouldn't be able to lie, for example. There'd be no lying. There'd be no like sugarcoating or whatever. And think of it this way: like you walk up to somebody, and you can immediately tell what they thought of you. They're like, if I could walk up to somebody and like I could hear their thought, they'd be like, "Whoa, gross," and I'd be like, "Oh God, I'm not walking out in public now."
Right.
Or maybe the opposite. Maybe everyone's like leering at you. But it's just like the idea that's kind of cool. And it ends up being that the whole country becomes isolated. Like each person becomes this isolated little cell. And,
And it's almost like it kind of the way what I took away from it is that the theme of communication is very important. Obviously, there are thoughts that we keep to ourselves and that we should. But there's also things like, if you need to compromise or you need to talk about something, you should talk about it. Because obviously there were so many thoughts between this guy and his wife that were going unsaid, and it probably could have worked it out somehow, but they didn't. Instead, they kept everything to themselves and shit went sour, and that's just like, that's kind of sad, like it.
Yeah, I felt like that was a fairly well-directed episode too. Like,
definitely.
I kind of enjoyed that
for
one.
like an introduction to the show too. I think it was kind of cool too, because here's this girl on her bike, her sentient bike, and she's just randomly in this town with this weird fucking thing where everybody hears everyone's thoughts, and then you go to the next episode and you realize what's happening, and it's like, okay, so everything is gonna be like a, everything is gonna have a thing to it, like a gimmick, and I think that was kind of a cool way to start it off.
Yeah, and this might be a stretch. This is my interpretation, but like, I think you could apply this as a metaphor to like social media a little bit. Because If people are like constantly talking and tweeting and posting pictures and videos and everything, that's like, I don't know. This is a little bit of a stretch, but like that's kind of that's either their true thoughts or their fake thoughts. So interacting with people in the real world would be a lot different. Like, for example, I'd ask somebody what they thought about something, and then later see them post on Facebook that they thought the opposite or whatever, or on Twitter it would be a better one. And
Sure.
I think it's kind of interesting that it could, like, for example, people could get right now people can get in trouble for what they post on social media, so they might become more like isolationist as far as how they put out their ideas. And it kind of, I don't know, I could see it going that way in the future for that, but that's like such a stretch. Again, it's just like a loose tie to that. Does that make any sense to you?
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But yeah. Let's see. Another episode that I liked. Oh, I know you like the Coliseum ones. I kind of enjoy it. Those are all right to me.
Though I only like those just because, like, I like arena fighting shit like that. But I also like the end of it.
Yeah.
The end of that, because it was a 2-parter.
Yeah. That was the only 2-parter in the show.
Yeah. The end of it was super sick. Like, okay, so what is that called? The land of what now?
It's just called Coliseum.
I don't know what whatever that country
That's just
was
the
called.
episode.
I don't remember what
Basically, the guy, there's like a mad king.
He's a king, and he's narcissistic and hedonistic.
Yeah, he holds these like tournaments and battles for his amusement.
Anybody who visits the country,
hedonistic. That's essentially he's a hedonist.
Yeah,
he wants to just only experience pleasure.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to work.
And you see this guy too, and his face is very creepy. He's got like
voiced by Vic Mignogna.
He's got Vic Mignogna.
Edward Elric.
Edward Elric.
But did you watch this dubbed or subbed, by the way? Kind of a tangent.
I watched it subbed, and I watched the first like 3 episodes dubbed, and I like them both. Honestly, the dub is not as good, obviously, but
I think I
don't mind it.
Kino's voice actor in the dub is like not quite the best, because I feel like she would do better with like a more deadpan voice. She sounded too deep a little bit to me. But I mean, other than that, I think the dub was fine.
Right. So the reason why I like the Coliseum one a lot is, like Nick said, this king, right? He's just sadistic. He's a dick. Any visitors that come into his country or town, they have to participate in this battle tournament or be subjected to life as a slave or a second-class citizen. So Kino is like, okay, let's fucking do this, right? Like, obviously, what is she gonna do? So they're able to use whatever they come in the arena with. So she's got her guns, obviously, her 2 high caliber guns. She ends up fighting this guy named Shizu, I think his name is, and he's got like a katana, and he's just like a pro. He's quick, he's fast. Anyway, she ends up in the semifinals, and she's fighting this dude. By the very end of it, even though he knocks out one of her pistols, she pulls out the other one, and pretty much knocks the sword out of his hand with the butt of the gun. And then she decides to, because she's such an excellent marksman, by the way, from where she's standing, she's able to put a bullet in the head of the king. And everyone is just like, holy shit. Like, you just did that shit. That just happened. And she makes up a new rule where...
Well, yeah, the winner gets to create a new law for the country.
So the law she makes is... you can keep doing the competition, but by choice. Because she feels like if she eliminates it altogether, then crime will rise, and there won't be a way to deal with the crime. So she compromises by making the law. Well, you can keep doing the arena or the Coliseum, but do it by choice and do it by the vote of the people or whatever. And I think that's fucking cool.
Yeah, this
the way it ended was
go
fucking
ahead.
sick. No, that's all I was gonna say. Like, it was just
It was like the movie Gladiator. Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? But the compromise that she makes is really cool. And that's what I was kind of getting at earlier with the chaotic neutral is she made this choice. Like, very not super spontaneously, but she made this choice to do something very drastic to help this country, and that was by literally putting a hole in the head of this dude who was fucking using people, and it was just it was dope. It was sick.
One other thing I like to mention is that this show really it seems to push a lot of like libertarian ideas.
It kind of does a little, yeah.
But I'm like, oh, you know our friend Drew, right? I'm like, Drew, you got to watch this.
Right.
I mean, that's not gonna be relevant to the podcast, but like, just because Kino is really all about, she's kind of all about like, what's the word again? Socially liberal and otherwise conservative, which is and like small government type thing.
Well, I think that's I mean, if I may say so myself,
that's it boiled down in a nutshell, way oversimplified.
I feel like that's what
small government essentially. That's kind of libertarian.
Well, in the case of this motherfucker, I mean, yeah, like, goddamn.
And I just thought that was kind of neat to point out. What else? So, yeah, as far as more favorite episodes... Oh, no, did I close the tab? Anyway, what do we got? Go ahead, Sam. I gotta open my tab again. I messed up.
Freaking
Here we go. Oh, here we go. So, going back to the land of books. Let's see here. I want to rewatch this episode again. I feel like I may have missed something by I kind of zoomed through some of these episodes I watched.
They gather all the books and they lock away the stuff that's quote unquote harmful.
It's kind of like Fahrenheit 451, right? Isn't that part of the plot of that?
I would say
story?
That.
Where like they burn books. This is going to be an admission. People are going to shut off the podcast, but I have not read that Fahrenheit 451 yet.
I haven't either.
I got to get on.
I know what it's.
Yeah. But yeah, like the land of books. So I just like the idea of trusting a society to a small group of like critics who aren't really. It's kind of similar or analogous to like the real world where politicians like they're not critics, but because they have knowledge in other areas, but it's like they have one skill and they essentially set standards for the whole country. Like the government's it's kind of like China. It's like censorship. We're going to censor or not censor based on our values. And, we're always right. We have the best interests in mind.
North Korea. Yeah.
Yeah. And the end of the episode is cool because there's this one guy who has apparently read like all the books and he makes his own book.
It's like The Giver.
Yeah, it's about everything, the book, but apparently the book at the end the book is full of just like blank pages. And
it's full of bullshit.
And it's like they're kind of like blurring the lines between reality and fantasy a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I want to rewatch to get more out of that one. Yeah, I really liked that. So the Land of Books episode
9, I think it was 9 or 10.
The other one I liked was the volcano episode where the whole village was
Which one was that one again?
Was in the path of a volcano. Let's see here. It's either 12 or 13, I think.
No, it's not the last one.
No, 12 was different. So 13, I think.
Oh, maybe it was the last one.
Yep. So episode 13. It's called A Kind Land. Tomorrow Never Comes. So Kino, she visits this town, and they're all very nice and hospitable to her, which some of the previous visits were not. And she makes friends with this girl named Sakura, and Sakura reminds her of her younger self, and Kino begins to grow attached to this town, and eventually a volcano erupts and it buries the town, like right as Kino is left, because she's got to stick to her plan.
Yeah.
Or she was thinking about leaving anyway, or thinking about going back, and she witnesses it, like the lava just engulfs it and kills everybody in the whole town. And they leave her a note, and everybody in the town knew it too. Like the girl knew it, her parents knew. They knew that the volcano was coming, and they just wanted to leave basically a good impression, because what had happened is their town had become notorious for being like bad. Really, nobody wanted to go there. They had no visitors or travelers or anything. And finally, Kino shows up, and they want to redeem themselves and be remembered for that. And I just like the idea of that redemption. Like, you want to be remembered for a good thing, and even if it
like
means,
that sense of atonement. Yeah, I think the theme of atonement and redemption is...
Although you could also argue that they could, they should have survived and atoned even more.
Sure,
There's that
sure,
too. But
sure.
maybe they knew that they couldn't keep it up. Like, maybe they knew that it was so ingrained in them that it wasn't possible long term. I don't know, but I just like the idea of that, and I don't know, it was just cool.
I do think, though, the Kino's reaction at the end of it too, and the way it went down, the way it was executed, that episode, is a very good way to end this show. The way the show is, it's episodic. You know what I mean? Every theme of every episode is different. Every episode in itself is different, and it's almost kind of like, how are they going to end this, right? And because that was my thing. I was like, how are they going to end this? Okay, how is this happening? How are they going to do this? And the one time she thinks about breaking her 3-day rule, and that's what happens. She wakes up and she turns around and she's got this look on her face like, oh my fuck, like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, she met this really cool girl who was super nice and super relatable to her, and the one time she thinks about going back and breaking her rule, and that's what happens. You know what I mean? That's very, like, Twilight Zone-ish right there.
That's why I'm no tears Nick. Never get attached.
Yeah. Dude, that's
Literally
no tear
Kino.
Nick over there. Oh my God, Sam, who's your friend? That's no tear Nick. That's my boy right there.
He won't cry no matter what.
He doesn't cry no matter
Go
what.
ahead, punch him.
You could literally kick him in the dick and he won't even cry. He'll just go like,
So
ow.
there's another. There were various 3 OVAs. One of them we mentioned, the Tower episode 0. There is also 2 more with kind of her backstory.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
One of them, I don't.
The one
Was
where,
one of them the episode where with the sick girl?
Yeah.
Yeah,
a
that was the
film.
one directed by Studio Shaft.
Yeah, it's called Country of Illness.
Yeah, I really liked that one, actually.
That was in 2007.
Yeah, and it looked a lot different because Studio Shaft did it, and they used you could tell they used some CG, moments where she's riding across the landscape, and they used some really cool directing techniques. But what I liked about that one is so this little girl is sick, and there's this whole city that's in a bubble. Essentially, they're in a dome, and Kino has to be like sprayed down and sterilized before she can enter, because there's this sickness in the country that affects, I think it's 1 in every 3. It is like 1 in every certain number of people gets this sickness. Doesn't matter of their age, background, anything. It doesn't matter. They get a lethal sickness and they die. And they're trying to find a cure for it. And this girl has like these rich parents, and she comes to talk. She wants to talk to Kino in the hospital, and they talk to her. And Kino goes out to deliver a present to this little girl's pen pal who supposedly lives out in the countryside, right? And what Kino finds out is that there is nobody in the countryside. It's just this like abandoned city with this one guy on post on duty, and he was the one who was pretending to be her pen pal, the little girl's pen pal, because the boy had died a while ago, and he was helping to provide, essentially, like, they were using him as a way to provide like some kind of vaccine or human testing essentially to find cures for the disease.
Mm-hmm.
And the little girl is like kind of like drinking parts of him is like what's implied, or drinking not literally him, but like the byproduct of his sacrifice or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just cool that like I just like the idea of like delivering letters and the person is dead, but then someone else picks up where they left off, and they do it as a kindness,
Yeah. It's almost like to keep giving Kino a sense of hope kind of thing. And like, man,
yeah. Well, the guy did try to kill Kino, like when she discovered all that.
Right. Because he was like, oh.
He had to preserve the secret that they were using human testing to find
right
a cure for the disease. But it was, he made a good point though. It was for the greater good, but at what cost? They had to sacrifice these human lives to do it, and they said they tried animal testing, it didn't work, and all that. So
it's actually super depressing.
And that happened. Like in the real world, that has happened. Like in World War II and stuff, there was a whole bunch of human experimentation, and
yeah,
I don't know all the details, but basically, like governments paid big money to get that data.
yeah,
after the war, even though it was like super immoral and like messed up, but it's valuable data. Like they learned, what are the limits of like, humans, what we can sustain and all that.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I also thought it was funny how Hermes was trying to talk to the other bike when he parked there.
Yeah.
So
I love Hermes.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So, what else, man?
I mean, I think we covered most of our favorites, right?
Oh well, I also did really like the bunny episode 2. I think.
Episode 2.
Kino shoots this rabbit, and she understands that killing this rabbit to feed her, she respects the animal and she kills it. And then she sees these 3 guys who are trapped in the snow, and she decides to kill more rabbits to help feed them and keep them alive until the snowstorm dies. Turns out that they're slave traders, and they actually try to kill her at the end. And she ends up killing them, and she is like, almost has a regret of taking the lives of these innocent bunnies for these people. But it kind of ends with Hermes kind of going like, do you regret doing that? Do you regret killing the bunnies for these people? And do you regret wanting to save them because of your human kindness? And she's kind of like, you know what? Not really, because I understand that this is their means of survival, and this is what they do. And it's implied that they even ate the slaves on their truck to survive that much longer. And she kind of was like, she wasn't really even fazed by it. She was just kind of like, you know what? I don't regret it, but it's a shitty situation and that sucks. And I don't know, man. It's like, it kind of speaks to blind trust and compromise and the human nature. You know what I mean? That was another one of my favorites just because of that. Just because of how they explored that theme. And if you know me personally, you know that I'm a big sociologist. I love sociology and things like that. So that was a really cool thing. But I think a good way to end this episode really is me and Nick. If you're still listening right now, thank you. I fucking love you. You're great. You're amazing, and you're beautiful and handsome, and I want to have your children. But if you're still listening to this episode right now, you'll probably be saying, man, these guys are all over the place. Like, Nick's a butthole, Sam's a slut, whatever. But you know what? Kino is all over the place. That's what she does. That's the theme of this show, is she is all over the place. And every time she stops to think, something about herself and something about the world is discovered. I think that's how you have to live your life, right? I mean, that's what you have to do. As you're listening to us right now, you're probably something in your life is changing right now as you're listening to us. You're probably thinking, man, I should go watch this show, or man, I can't wait to listen to the next episode. You probably weren't thinking that before you listened to me just now. So go fuck yourself. How about that? But no, seriously though.
We love you. Go fuck yourself.
No, seriously though. Like we were all
Channeling Bill Burr.
maybe we were all over the place on this review, but how else would you do it when the character and the point of the show is literally just that. That's how it presents itself. Kino is all over the place.
Yeah.
She's never in one spot. And she just discovered these things, and it got me thinking about all these critical things about life and things I'm going through, things Nick is going through, things that this podcast is going through right now. It's a very, very thought-provoking show with a very easy premise, and that's just a girl on her bike traveling the world. That's literally all it is.
And before we get flamed in the comments, we should mention that I'm reading an interview on Anime News Network with the creator, Keiichi Sakawa, and so he says his favorite story, since we were naming our favorites, his favorite is A Peaceful Land, Mother's Love, which is episode 12 of the show. And that's the one with like it felt like I don't know which dystopia, but it felt like a certain dystopia where these two warring nations had stopped like officially battling and all that. And, so their tanks and bombs were all grounded. Right. And the way they solved that was, they would have a common enemy, and they would hunt down this other tribe, and they would do that every so often, and determine the winner by whoever hunted the most, whoever killed the most people in this one tribe this one day. And the reason they did that is because the leader of one of the countries, this mother, had lost essentially her whole family to the war, so she had found that solution with the other country to do that. And just like the way this one's directed is really good. It's got a lot of like, it feels kind of like those World War documentaries a little bit, a little. It's got like these flashing images and stuff, and I just like the idea of the matriarch controlling everything, and setting these hard to swallow conditions, but it's like at the same time it's less. They're killing less people than they would in a war, right? Because instead of thousands dying, there's maybe, I don't know, less than 50. But it's this other tribe that's getting victimized, and they've done nothing wrong.
It's like
but they're getting hunted for sport.
It's like the cycle of violence is still going. It's like, does it really make it worth it?
Yeah, and the author was saying like that one was pretty emotional for him to write, and he said that the fan favorite, according to him, was one of the ones I mentioned, the Kind Land, Tomorrow Never Comes, with the lava, the last episode. I can definitely see that one. That one had a lot of oomph to it. So
a lot of
just us rattling off the episodes.
But I think it makes sense still. I think we and I did a good job, and at first I thought the show was kind of boring, and then I was like, I watched the next however many episodes, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna rewatch some of my favorite parts, and I did, and then I read some reviews and watched some reviews, and I do really like the show. I think every anime fan needs to watch it, and you need to try and get through it because it's a really good show. That being said,
again, it's not really conducive to marathoning.
Oh yeah.
You could marathon Kino's Journey, but then you're gonna need to rewatch it really, because it's best experienced where you can kind of sit down and mull each episode over for a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you're just clicking next, then you're not taking it all in.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's not like, it's not so complex that you can't understand it, but you just really want to get those ideas seeping into. That's like the whole point of what the author was going for.
Yeah, definitely. The conversations between her and Hermes at the end of each episode is definitely like a big part of it. But that being said, piggybacking off of Nick reading about this interview here, one of the questions was, is there a message you would like to give the fans in regard to the upcoming anime? And he basically said, I do all the checks for the stories and scripts. The only thing that's different is the production has been modernized. The animation style is more updated, and it's gonna be same Kino stories with more with a bit more. So I mean, I think this is definitely on my watch list for show. For show.
Yeah, and actually, this is going to be a good one to watch weekly.
Yeah,
This is like the perfect show to watch weekly.
definitely. This is definitely on the weekly for me. Any final thoughts? I mean,
So, like, so what other shows would you recommend to someone who hasn't seen Kino's Journey or who has?
oh, that's a good one. I don't know. I've never seen a show like Kino before. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like,
So this is Kino's Journey is kind of like a slice of life.
in a
think
way,
about
it
it.
kind of is.
And I watched one of the old Glass Reflection reviews, and he recommended Hibine Renmei. And I'm like, well, it has kind of similar color palette.
Right? Yeah.
It's a little less, and he even said it's like a little less clear.
It's a little more plot driven
Than
Kino's.
No, other way around. Kino's is all plot, pretty much.
Fuck plot.
Yeah, hashtag fuck plot. I don't know, like Boogie Pop Phantom.
Oh god.
So Kino's Journey is the good version of Boogie Pop Phantom anime.
That's
like,
a good way to say it.
I don't know if we mentioned it in the Boogie Pop episode where I had to watch it, but like that anime is not for people who haven't read the source material. You have to have read the source material to get Boogie Pop Phantom anime because it's just like fucking weird. Anyway, yeah, let's see. Kino's Journey. Let's just check Mel. What do they have for like recommended? This is really helpful. I'm just reading off Mel.
Just saying also, shout out to Dengeki Bunko Imprint. They
Oh, Mushishi. That's the other big one. actually.
Mushishi.
Glass Reflection. He mentioned that one as well. Kaiba.
Sam, would you like a cappuccino? No, I'll have a
Ergo
I'll have a
Proxy.
mushishino.
Actually, I'm gonna go with Ergo Proxy. Ergo Proxy would be my other
Proxy.
somewhat similar recommendation because it's like a road style where the characters are going on a journey, and it's all about.
Oh, hey,
philosophy.
Michiko Tohachin. There you go. Watch that shit.
Yeah,
That's a traveling motorbike thing.
there you go.
Except-
Samurai Champloo.
Except Michiko Tohachin's not as like thought provoking. It's just like here's a mom and her daughter, and they're going through some shit. And there's Japanese.
Mushishi.
there's Japanese
would be the
Mexican
best
people.
comparison. Actually, no. I think Ergo Proxy is the best comparison because you have like robot character and a human.
Fucking
character.
Yoshitora
Same thing,
Sanchez.
Not even listening. So where would you rank, as another final thought, where would you rank Kino in terms of your anime that you've seen so far?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Yeah, that's pretty close to what I would do it. I like just randomly gave it a 7. I'd probably bump it. I liked it. So
Only
yeah,
reason
I
is
put it in
because
my, like top quartile.
only reason is because it's almost a little hard to watch for at times. It's kind of slow. But that's because of the
Yeah.
way it's being told, and the way the presentation is like, it's almost a little artful. But yeah, 8 out of 10 for me. I think it's a really good show, and I like Kino. I like her androgynous, gender neutral look, and I love that she's a badass. And
I like her kawaii girl in the dress with a giant machine gun.
but yeah,
cutting down a tree.
the novels are Dengeki Bunko. So she's actually in the game Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax as a support character, so that's super sick.
Oh god,
Dude, I gotta see, it's just fucking sick.
that's crazy.
She's-
In the anime, she's like really OP. So
Dude, yeah, she's a support character,
She
so
beat
she
anybody.
comes out and shoots bitches. She comes out and she's like, "Grr, grr."
oh man,
Oh my god. Listen, go watch Kino's Journey, and then when you're done with that, you can come back to rss.anime summit and subscribe to the RSS feed. And then when you're done
Same
with
thing for
that,
YouTube.
you can go to youtube.com/anime summit and subscribe there. And then after that, you can follow Nick on Twitter at Blind Freeman, and you can follow me at Phantasma Justura, and follow the Twitter at Anime Summit. And then after that, you can subscribe to Anime Summit Extra on YouTube, when you can find the link
And
to
then
that on the
fuck
original
yourself.
YouTube. And then go fuck yourself.
We're just stealing Bill Burr's bits here.
Then after that, I want you to DM Quokka on Twitter and say, "Come back from Korea. Stop being over there because nothing's over there."
Send him some Google Translate Korea.
You're not.
language.
You can't pull off
Korean
Gangnam
language.
Style very well.
Tell him he's too much of a gaijin.
So that being said, me and Nick are going to be at the Burnsville Center Arcade this weekend, and if you want to challenge us to Initial D, you should.
Do they have that?
They do. They have version 3 there. We should go play.
Holy
I still
shit,
have my
dude.
Mitsubishi Lancer. Let's go play.
I'm down. If they have the soundtrack, I'm down.
They do have the dude. They have the version 3 has the best soundtrack.
Deja vu.
Dude, okay, no. I'm gonna borrow a friend's camera and we're gonna vlog playing Initial D at Tilt at Burnsville Center because they have version
Dude.
2 and 3, and I believe they have Maximum Tune as well.
We need to cut it too with like shots of a cup of water, not
Yeah.
spilling and stuff, and like
Dude, well,
like my foot pressing the
you
gas.
could do the
pedal or whatever.
we could play the Boonta Challenge mode, or not Boonta Challenge, but what's his dad's name?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
But
I just know they
it's
own
a
the food
challenge.
shop
It's a
in
challenge
Vegas.
mode where on the screen there's actually a cup of water, and if you spill it, you fail the stage right away.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah. But anyway,
That's my fantasy football team's name, running in the 90s.
there you go.
It's just a picture of a cup.
So, anyways, do all that stuff I just said, and then go to AnimeSummit.net and find the Discord link and join us on Discord and talk to us and stuff. And you can say hi
and
to.
next week,
week,
we are doing Fall 2017
fall
anime first impression.
2017. I'll give you my first impression right now. Kino's Journey is great, and I haven't even seen it yet. Fuck yourself.
I'll give my first impression. Ancient Magus Bride. Hype.
I'm actually super hyped for that. Like, I want to watch
There's
the shit
a
out of
couple of OVAs that they're like her prequel
Yeah,
to it. So
yeah.
check those
I'm gonna
out.
watch the shit out of that. But anyways,
You're gonna fucking love that show, Sam.
dude, it
Look
looks
on.
great. Yeah, I think the design looks sick. Anyway,
That's gonna be your AOTS.
It might be.
Maybe.
might be
I have
my
no idea.
go oats.
I haven't
It might be
watched
my
a lot
oats in way.
That and Black Clover.
I don't know about Black Clover.
You gotta watch the first episode, dude.
Anyway, this has been a great journey with the Anime Summit podcast. I've been Sam. He has been Nick the Brick, Jimmy the Hat, Don Corleone.